Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing again. I hope you're doing well. Um, you normally you can normally tell if you really dislike someone because you find yourself defending a third party who you wouldn't trust. You know what I mean? So if someone you think, oh, I don't trust that geezer, I wouldn't trust him as far as I can throw him, and then someone else comes along and they're so obnoxious that you think, actually, I'm going to defend him. Such is the situation, as far as I'm concerned, with Simon Jordan and Eddie Hearn. Now, I'm probably late to the party here because I don't watch Talksport. I know who Simon Jordan is. I don't know a great deal about him, but I've seen him interview. Seen him interview people before. I saw the first Hearn lengthy Hearn interview. I only ever watched bits of him on YouTube when he's talking to someone that I'm interested in. I know he was a football owner when did he have a football club? Or I don't know what the hell it is. Anyway, Simon Jordan. He went at it hammer and tongs with Eddie Hearn again today. I think it was earlier today or yesterday. And I found myself rooting for Eddie Hearn. And thank you, Simon Jordan, for introducing me to a new feeling, just a new perspective. Look, you know my opinion on Hearn. If I was his fighter, I'd want him on my side because he works extremely hard. I mean, he's an absolute demon when it comes to working. And, he's a very, very good boxing promoter, Eddie Hearn. There's no doubt about it. But would I trust him if I wasn't represented by him? Do I trust what comes out of his mouth? No. As with most people who are businessmen, entrepreneurs, whatever you want to call them, you have to sift through all the piss and wind to get to the truth. And sometimes, as with most people who like to sort of bend the truth, they'll tell you half truths and maybe they'll drop a little, or they'll dress up something that's false in a way that is feasible. And you know what I'm getting at. Well, I think the reason Simon Jordan seems to hate Eddie Hearn so much is because he's cut from the same cloth, but he doesn't have Hearn's ability to spin or to put a mask on or to come across as being a sort of rather charismatic, convincing mouthpiece for those he represents. Because there is no doubt, watching this little to and fro, that Simon Jordan hates Eddie Hearn. Again, I'm late to the party with this one. I know you're all going to say, what are you talking about? Of course he hates Eddie Hearn, we know that. But again, I'm going to state another thing that bears repeating. Sometimes the obvious needs repeating, and that is that if you look at the way Simon Jordan speaks to Frank Warren, there is not the vitriol, there is not the seething rage. He doesn't turn red. He's actually softly with Frank. And yes, he may make statements against Tyson Fury or some other thing, that some other fighter perhaps, or some other promotion that Frank Warren's involved with. But he doesn't get in Warren's face and, really give him both barrels. He does with Hearn. He can't wait to do it with Hearn. And to me, this is a coward. Because I'm all for journalists asking very, very awkward questions. In fact, that is the job of a journalist. And during this interview, Simon Jordan said, actually, I'm not a journalist. Well, no, you are, mate. And if you're not a journalist, if you genuinely believe that you're not, stop making statements that are unfounded, and stop saying that I heard this, therefore this must be fact. No, Hearn actually pulled him up on this, quite rightly so, because he was making statements about Frank Smith. Frank Smith had been told this on such and such a day on Friday. In actual fact, Frank Smith hadn't been. He'd spoken to Robert Smith of the British Boxing Board of Control. He spoke to him on the Saturday, and Hearn swore blind, and he wouldn't have it. Jordan was like, no, Frank, I spoke to Robert Smith and blah, 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 therefore it must be true. And of course it wasn't, because they got in touch with Robert Smith and he said, no, it was on Saturday. That's just one example. Now, if you're going to have that sort of, I tell it like it is, I tell the truth, you've got to punch up. You can't just punch down all the time. And they know damn well, they being Talk Sport, and certainly Simon Jordan knows, that Eddie Hearn will speak to anyone. He'll go on Talk Sport. He'll, cross swords with over 45 minutes with Simon Jordan or anyone else. And that's the one thing you've got to say about Hearn. You don't really bottle it. You can say that he talks a lot of crap sometimes, and God knows I've said it a lot. He did in this interview say that he handled the Conor Benn thing not as well as it should have been. He said that Conor made decisions, public relations decisions he didn't agree with, he thinks were a mistake. He said that they've learnt from that experience, hence the reason they now, they pulled the plug supposedly pretty quickly, or as we are led to believe pretty quickly, with the Dillian White AJ fight. But this didn't seem to be good enough for Simon Jordan. He called him a disgrace. The way you handled that was a disgrace, and you're getting personal. In fact, if ever there was gaslighting, it's that you're getting. He was saying to Hearn, "You're getting personal, ad hominem attacks and so on." No, Simon, calm down, mate. And Hearn was saying this. He was going, "Calm down. Your blood pressure's going up again," and it was. I think this is because they're actually. Jordan looks at Hearn and he kind of. This is me playing amateur psychologist. I think he sort of wants to be more like Hearn because he sees that Hearn has skills in presenting things that are not necessarily the absolute truth, presenting opinions which are going to be contentious at best. But Hearn has a way of presenting them in a almost like a politician's way. The phrase is, you use car salesman, or the double glazing salesman way. It's that Essex patter, and for patter read bullshit. But he does it very, very well. Jordan doesn't. Jordan comes across as being the sort of like an irate geography teacher, or the kid at the back of the class who wants everyone to be okay, but is actually a control freak, and like a prefect in a school or something. You know what I mean? I can't get on with this guy at all. I can't get on with him. So yeah, Simon Jordan, I'm not impressed. I'm not sure he cares what I think. He doesn't seem to care what a lot of people think, but I think he does care about what people like Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren think. And he knows he can get away with it with Hearn. He knows he can't get away with going in ham-fisted with Frank Warren, because Warren will just batter him. And that, to me, there's an element of cowardice to this guy. I really don't care for him at all. So yeah, Eddie, I stuck up for you for once. And whatever you say about Hearn, he's a great boxing promoter. And if he's working for you, or you're working for him, or whatever, or certainly if he's working for you, if you're one of his clients like an AJ, yeah, he's the type of pit bull you want in your corner. Simon Jordan, when it came to the crunch, I think would bottle it. Don't think Hearn would. Anyway, just a few thoughts on Simon Jordan. Let me know what you think. Comments below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit that like button as always, and we'll speak again soon. Bye for now.